Good morning, Year 5. Today we are going to identify and box up the structure of a newspaper report. Take a look at our newspaper model text from yesterday. Read through it again to yourself and start making notes about the structure. How does it start? How many paragraphs are there? How many sentences are in each paragraph? Is there any alliteration, descriptive language, or speech? Once you've done this, we are going to box up. So give me a pause here whilst you go through the newspaper report. Let's start boxing up. There are 6 sections to this newspaper report. The first section includes our headline and author information before we get 5 paragraphs that are more detailed. Let's start the box up as if we're going to rewrite the report ourselves. In section 1, we will need a headline and author information. Headlines need to be catchy and are a great place to use either a funny pun or alliteration. We have a little bit of alliteration with surprise and ship, but I think we can do better than that in Year 5. I used a thesaurus to find another word for ancient and found superannuated. I checked the dictionary to make sure that it worked and went with superannuated surprise for Mrs. Ship. Superannuated is a posh word for something that is ancient and not used anymore. You can hug this for your box up if you like. And then on my next line, I put the author information. So Mrs. Russell, Year 5 teacher, Folkestone. Section 2 gives us a single sentence paragraph that introduces the 5 W's. Who, what, when, where, and why. This gives the reader a feel for what the article is about, keeping it short, giving the writing pace, and making the reader want to keep reading on. Let's look at the 5 W's. Who? Mrs. Ship, a school teacher. What? She found 9 Roman coins. Where? She found them in her garden in Somerset. When? We don't know this from our model text until the next paragraph, but we can add it to our box up. Why? Why is it interesting? Because they are due to be put on display. Remember, we are boxing up, so we don't need to be writing out full sentences just yet, just key information or ideas that we will use to come up with our newspaper report for the event. Let's take a look at section 3. Section 3 starts to give us more detail. It gives us context to the events that happened. We need to think about when the event happened. Last year. Who was involved? Mrs. Ship. What was happening? She was getting an extension built onto her home. Then we see something that is a great feature of a newspaper report. Speech. Speech is used to make the report seem more real and believable to the reader. If someone told you Mr. Hulks had been spotted in town flying around like Skellig, you might say no way. But if Mrs. Berbier said she had seen it, you might be more likely to believe her, because she was there as a witness. In the model text, our first lines of speech from Mrs. Ship tell us why they were getting the extension, and the second lines are what she remembers from the day she found the coins. Notice, though, that she hasn't told us about the coins yet. She is setting the scene and giving us context, as well as introducing us to who else was there, the builders. In section 4, we have quite a long paragraph that spills into the next column. We have more detail about the event and lots of speech. This time, the speech starts with the builders, who were just introduced in section 3. In fact, most of this paragraph is speech, telling the story of the event as it happened in chronological order through witnesses. The builders tell us they stopped work on the extension before we hear that Sally, Mrs. Ship, slept in the garden because she was excited about what she found and nervous about what might happen. Then we were introduced to Jenny, another witness of the event, who had some lines of speech telling us how she felt about the event. She starts to ask questions, which is exciting for the reader, drawing us in to find out what happens next. In section 5, we have 2 short paragraphs. The first one tells us what happened to the main character of our report, Mrs. Ship, then a line of speech about her experience. The final paragraph tells us what happened to the subject of the story, the coins, and suggests what might happen next. As we don't know where the coins will be put on display, it leaves us wanting to find out. Will it be a museum or a gallery? We don't know. That's one of the great features of a newspaper. It ends with an open question for the reader to wonder about. The final section of this newspaper report is a photograph of the coins with a caption underneath. The caption uses both exciting and informative language, instead of just saying, the coins that were found in a garden. The coins become the treasure that was discovered. I don't know about you, but if someone told me they found buried treasure, I'd want to go and have a look, because I think that's quite exciting. Then at the end of the caption, we find out that it was in Somerset. We get some information about where the buried treasure was found. This information is like an extra bit of factual gossip to draw the reader in further. You know that buried treasure? Know what I heard? They found it in Somerset, eh? Mm-hmm. Just gives us that tiny bit more information. I've gone with the buried treasure uncovered in a garden in Somerset. I've hugged the ending from the model text, but chosen to add in the idea of the treasure being buried. There we go, box up complete. Remember, we aren't writing the newspaper report today, we are just doing the box up. If you get stuck, watch the video again and pause it after each section whilst you have a go. Keep looking back at your model text, as this has all the information you need to help you fill in your box up. We look forward to seeing your work soon. Have a lovely day.